Scorpio, there's something in the air, isn't there? You can't explain it to anyone, not fully, but you feel it. A strange pressure building beneath your skin, a soft hum in your bones like a silent countdown. Moments of stillness that don't feel peaceful, they feel pregnant with something unseen. And you're right to feel that, because something is coming, but not just one thing, something beautiful and something dangerous, a blessing and a test. This is not the kind of week where life changes slowly. This is the kind where the universe rearranges your entire stage in one breathtaking movement. But here's the part no one tells you until it's too late. Right before your biggest breakthrough, the one who once tried to break you will return. And not loudly, they won't crash through your door or shout your name in the rain. They'll whisper. They'll text, "Hey, just thinking of you." They'll accidentally like an old photo. They'll come back wearing the same mask they left with, pretending peace, hiding poison. And all of this, it's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. Scorpio, when your light starts rising, the shadows always come sniffing. You're about to enter one of the most abundant, aligned, powerful phases of your life. But abundance isn't just about receiving, it's about protecting what's sacred. So I need you to stay close today, because this message, this entire journey we're about to walk together is not random. It's a spiritual preparation, a soul-level alignment. You've been asking for a sign. This is your sign. Scorpio, welcome. Let's begin. Part 1. The rise begins. And so does the opposition, Scorpio. You've felt it for weeks now, the quiet turning of the tide. Things that once felt stuck are shifting. Opportunities you thought were lost suddenly reappear. Ideas you buried are waking back up. It's not just coincidence. It's not just a good mood. It's alignment. The universe is finally responding to that inner work you've been doing in silence. The nights you couldn't sleep. The mornings you forced yourself to keep going. The days you wanted to give up but didn't. You've been planting in spiritual soil even when nothing bloomed. And now it begins. The energy around you is changing, and not subtly. It's loud, it's fast, it's moving like a current pulling you forward. You may notice strange physical signs first, a fluttering in your chest without reason, sudden bursts of creative energy, dreams that feel like messages, that uncanny sense that something big is on its way. You're not imagining it, because Scorpio, something is coming. But just as the door opens, so does the crack in the wall. Let's talk about that crack, the weak point, because every Scorpio has one, that one person, that one pattern, that one emotional trigger that always seems to sneak back in. It doesn't matter how much progress you make, that energy finds a way to return. And right now it senses your momentum, like a shadow that hates the sunrise. This person, this opposing energy feels your breakthrough before it even arrives. And they're afraid, not of you exactly, but of what you becoming your true self means for them. Because when you shine, it exposes who's been hiding in darkness. They can't celebrate you because your light threatens the identity they built in your absence. So what do? They come back. Not always physically. Sometimes it's a message, sometimes a dream, sometimes just a memory that hits so hard it nearly knocks the breath out of you. And in that moment, the test begins. Not a test of strength, you've already proven that, but a test of clarity. Will you mistake nostalgia for love? Will you confuse attention with healing? Will you reach backward out of habit, just when everything is trying to push you forward? This is the energetic moment Scorpio has waited for, because the only thing that can stop your rise now is the part of you that still entertains ghosts. But Scorpio, this time, it can be different. This time, you don't owe anyone access to your new life. You don't have to answer the message. You don't need to explain your silence. Your growth doesn't require permission, and it doesn't need to be approved by the person who once tried to destroy you. What's rising in your life is too sacred to be shared with someone who couldn't honor you the first time, and deep down, you know that. Life lesson: every spiritual blessing demands a boundary. The universe will always test whether you're willing to protect what you've prayed for. The door opens, yes, but it only stays open if you refuse to let the past walk through it again. Part 2. Financial blessing or spiritual test. Scorpio. Let's talk about the thing you've been quietly hoping for. That breakthrough, that moment of financial relief, that opportunity that doesn't just pay the bills, it changes the story. You've prayed for it, fasted for it, sacrificed for it, and now it's closer than you think. But here's the part that nobody warns you about. The blessing doesn't always come with a bow. Sometimes it shows up wrapped in chaos, in disguise, as a decision that terrifies you before it liberates you. Let me explain. There's something about to appear in your reality, a job, an offer, a payment, a message that will seem small at first, but behind it is a door. And behind that door is everything you've been aligning for. Scorpio, this is not a test of luck. This is a test of vision. Can you see beyond the surface? Can you trust what feels aligned, even if it's unfamiliar? Can you act before fear talks you out of it? Because here's the deeper truth. This isn't just about money. This is about purpose. What's arriving now is provision for your next evolution. Not comfort money, not ego money, soul money. The kind that funds your calling. The kind that doesn't just help you, it helps others through you. But here's the catch. If you're still carrying the old version of yourself, the one who doubts their worth, who plays small to be accepted, who hesitates when life invites them forward, then this opportunity may scare you more than it excites you. And that's how you know it's real. Because everything in your body will want to retreat, to delay, to say not yet, to make it perfect before you say yes. But Scorpio not yet is fear in costume. And fear is what kept you broke. Fear is what kept you surrounded by people who needed you weak. Fear is what kept you quiet while others lived your dreams. Not anymore. This financial blessing that's coming, it's going to require something of you. It's going to stretch your identity. It's going to demand courage. It's going to ask, will you invest in what you've been postponing for years? Because now you can. Now, for the first time in a long time, maybe ever, you're not surviving. You're choosing. Choosing what future to build, what version of yourself to feed, what dream to stop abandoning. And this is where many fail. They receive the blessing and then self-sabotage. They spend to numb. They use it to go back instead of move forward. But not you. Scorpio, you didn't survive all that pain just to go back to mediocrity. You didn't walk through fire just to end up in the same emotional prison. You're being funded now. Yes, funded by the universe to become someone you've only glimpsed in your visions. This money is a message, a divine reminder that the universe has not forgotten what you've endured. But it's also a mirror. If you still believe you're unworthy, if you still cling to what's toxic out of guilt, if you still keep your dream in the someday folder, this blessing will pass you by. And not because you're cursed, but because blessings require space. Life lesson, money is not just about survival, it's spiritual alignment. The universe responds when you stop waiting to feel ready and start moving with faith. What's coming isn't just for you to spend, it's for you to become. Part 3. The return of an enemy in disguise. Scorpio, you've seen this pattern before. Just when things start getting better, when your peace finally returns, when opportunity knocks, when clarity finds you, someone shows up, uninvited, unchanged, unhealed. And it's never random. They come dressed in new words, softer tones, maybe even the language of apology. But energy never lies. This is the same person who once fed off your wounds, who thrived when you were unsure, who watched you crumble and stayed silent, or worse, smiled. And yet here they are, texting, calling, lurking. Their timing is perfect, too perfect. Scorpio, this is the karmic echo. The universe isn't just bringing you a gift, it's bringing you a decision. Because this person isn't returning to love you, they're returning to measure you. To see if they still have access, to test if you've really changed. to find out if you finally closed the gate they once slipped through with ease. Let me be clear, they can sense your rise, not because you told them, not because you posted it online, because your energy is louder than words. Your peace is louder. Your silence is louder. Your growth is deafening to those who only knew you as broken. And for some people, that's unbearable. They want to believe you're still the same, still needing their validation, still open to their half efforts, still addicted to their chaos. So what do? They don't scream, they whisper. They send a "just thinking of you." They tell a friend to tell a friend they miss you. They show up in your dream. They say things like, "I've changed," or "let's talk." But Scorpio, they haven't changed. Not really. Not in the way that counts. Because when someone truly evolves, they don't circle back to reopen wounds. They respect your silence. They honor your distance. They carry their own healing, and they don't expect you to carry it for them. So here's the question. Will you entertain the ghost and risk your future, or will you finally do what you always knew had to be done? Say nothing. Block. Release. And keep walking. Because this isn't about revenge. This isn't about being cold. This is about your protection. It's about not letting your past steal from your future again. Scorpio, you are on the verge of something holy. And yes, that's the word holy. Because peace is sacred. Alignment is sacred. The next version of you is sacred. You don't owe access to people who pollute the ground you're trying to plant in. You don't need to hear them out. You don't need to give them closure. You don't need to justify your distance. Distance is the closure. Silence is the boundary. Healing is the revenge and the reward. You are not the person they used to manipulate. You are not the heart they used to twist. You are no longer addicted to their attention because you've remembered your own light. Life lesson, not every return is a gift. Sometimes it's a final test. Closure isn't found in conversations. It's found in choices, especially the choice to protect the future you've worked so hard to build. Part 4. Your final test: will you step forward or regress, Scorpio? Here's what nobody tells you about evolution. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait until you feel fully ready. And it almost never arrives in calm waters. Real change knocks like thunder. It rearranges the furniture of your inner world. It confronts you with the very things you thought you were done with. And that's where you are now, right on the edge of everything you've asked for, of everything you've cried over, of everything you've sacrificed to become. But there's one more step. And it's not about doing more, it's about choosing differently. Because Scorpio growth isn't linear. It's not a straight line upward, it's a spiral. And you've circled back to a very familiar point, the place where in the past you hesitated. That moment when the dream became real but fear screamed louder. When your body said yes, but your trauma said wait. When the door opened, but you stayed still, not because you didn't want it, but because you didn't yet believe you could carry it. So here it is again, another chance, another offer, another leap. But this time, you know what's at stake. Because this isn't just a business opportunity, it's not just a relationship, it's not just a location change. It's you. All of it, your identity, your path, your power is being activated by this choice. And that's why it feels terrifying. That's why you're doubting it. Why you keep second-guessing yourself. Why you keep wondering, am I strong enough? Am I wise enough? What if I fail? But Scorpio, what if you don't? What if this time, instead of spiraling in anxiety, you spiral up? What if everything falling apart wasn't punishment, but preparation? What if all the people who left all the closed doors, all the waiting, was the universe clearing space for this exact moment? You're not being tested to see if you're good enough. You're being tested to see if you're finally brave enough to believe it. Because the universe doesn't gift abundance to prove your worth, it sends abundance once you already know it. So here comes the invitation. It might look like a job that stretches you beyond comfort, A relationship that requires vulnerability, a move that challenges your routine, a project that ignites your fire and your fear. And yes, every part of you might want to delay, to overplan, to wait for perfect timing, to stay in the illusion of safety. But Scorpio, safety has been your slow death. You weren't made to play small. You weren't designed to blend in. You didn't incarnate to repeat patterns of survival. You came here to rise. And this moment, this fear, this fork in the road, it's your cue. It's the final whisper before the breakthrough shouts. Life lesson. The most sacred moments in life come disguised as fear. The question isn't, are you ready? It's, will you move anyway? Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the refusal to let fear decide your future. Part 5. Divine guidance appears at your most vulnerable moment. Scorpio. There is a moment in every transformation when everything feels quiet, but not the peaceful kind. It's the silence before the decision, the stillness before the leap, the breath before the breakthrough. You've stepped away from what no longer serves you, but you haven't yet arrived where your soul belongs. This is the in-between, the void, the place where the old version of you has died, but the new you hasn't fully stepped into the light. And in that space, when you're raw, exposed, unanchored, something beautiful happens. The divine speaks, not with a booming voice or a burning bush, but in whispers, in dreams, in impossible synchronicities, in messages that land at the exact second you need them. A repeating number on a license plate, a feather in your path, a phrase in a song that feels like it was written just for you, a stranger who says exactly what your soul has been aching to hear. And you know deep in your bones this is not coincidence. Scorpio, this is spiritual confirmation, because you are being watched, you are being held, you are being guided, especially when you feel the most alone. That deep chill in your spine when you think of a loved one who passed, it's not your imagination. That sudden warmth in your chest when you're about to give up, it's not random. That vivid dream where someone tells you you're on the right path, that's not just a dream, it's real. Because when you're walking a path of truth, the universe will make sure you're never walking it blind. The guides, the ancestors, the spirits who've walked before you, they know what's coming, and they want you to cross the threshold this time, but they can't carry you. They can only point to the signpost. You, Scorpio, must still choose to follow it. And here's the secret they want you to know. When your courage trembles, when your old fears rise, when you feel like collapsing back into comfort, that's when the guidance gets louder. Because the divine doesn't speak in words, it speaks in alignment, in flow, in timing, in chills, in inner knowings you can't logically explain, but can no longer ignore. So pay attention. When the conversation gives you goosebumps, that's a yes. When the door keeps closing, that's protection. When the offer comes in exactly as you release what no longer fits, that's orchestration. Scorpio, you are not creating this alone. You are co-creating with something ancient, something eternal, something that has waited lifetimes for you to say, I'm ready. So say it. Say it now. Say it when you're scared. Say it when you're unsure. Say it when you have no idea what's next. Because your willingness is what opens the next path. Life lesson, divine guidance doesn't scream. It whispers through dreams, signs, and intuition. Your job is not to force the path, but to become still enough to recognize it. And when you do, your next chapter begins before your feet even move. Part 6, you cut the ties. And destiny responds, Scorpio. There's a moment in every soul's life when silence is more powerful than words, when leaving is louder than any explanation, when cutting the tie doesn't just end a relationship, it activates destiny. And that moment is now. You've danced with this cycle long enough. The memories, the emotional bait, the illusions of change from someone who never truly grew. You gave chances. You offered grace. You waited for apologies that never came and closure that never arrived. And here you are, not bitter but exhausted, exhausted from giving people access to parts of you they never earned, exhausted from justifying your pain, exhausted from keeping doors cracked open out of nostalgia or guilt or some old echo of love. But something inside you snapped recently, didn't it? Something shifted, not in rage, not in hate, but in clarity. You woke up and realized, I don't want to heal in the same place that broke me. And the moment you chose, you really chose yourself. The universe took notice, because that's the frequency shift that destiny responds to. That's when the blessings you've been praying for, the ones that felt delayed, suddenly start rushing toward you like they've been held behind a dam. That job offer, that message of support, that unexpected money, that creative burst that leads to something tangible. Scorpio, these are not accidents, they're confirmations. Proof that when you protect your energy multiplies. Because spiritual abundance doesn't flow where chaos resides. Let me say that again. Your abundance is allergic to emotional clutter. And the person who returned, the one who stirred your still waters, they weren't the storm. They were the final storm, the last test. The disguised reminder that you've outgrown this chapter and anything attached to it. By saying no more, by walking away without the need to be understood, you created space for the divine to move. And move it will. You'll notice it in small ways first. A conversation that opens a door, a moment of unexpected peace, a decision that once felt impossible suddenly feels natural. Then, the shift becomes visible. New people enter. New options arise. New energy floods in like oxygen to your soul. Because you finally let go of what was never meant to follow you here. Scorpio, you've passed the test. You didn't just survive. You chose truth over comfort, freedom over familiarity, alignment over attachment. And that choice, that's what activates the next level of your life. Life lesson, you don't manifest miracles by wishing harder. You manifest them by choosing what honors your worth and walking away from what doesn't. The moment you stop negotiating with your past, your future arrives fully. Part 7. Conclusion and life lesson. Scorpio. Take a breath. Not the shallow kind, the deep one. The kind that reaches your belly. The kind that says, I made it through. Because you did. Not just through pain. Not just through betrayal. But through the kind of spiritual awakening that shatters the illusion of who you thought you had to be and introduces you to the truth of who you really are. Let's be honest, this wasn't just a chapter. This was a death and rebirth. The death of your people-pleasing, the death of your self-betrayal, the death of your silence when you knew you deserved more. And in its place, a new Scorpio was born, one who protects peace like a treasure, one who walks away without fear, one who no longer chases love that requires self-abandonment. And the universe, it saw everything. The nights you cried alone, the prayers you whispered in secret, the strength it took to not reply, not react, not relapse into patterns that once defined you. That strength, quiet, holy, ferocious, is the currency of transformation. And because of that, your life is about to reflect your worth. Not immediately, not all at once, but slowly, then suddenly. Because when a Scorpio finally heals truly deeply in their bones, they don't just change their life, they become untouchable. People who once underestimated you will feel the shift and not understand it. Old connections will try to return and feel like static against your soul. Opportunities that once ignored you will now chase you. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You moved out of survival energy and into divine magnetism. You're no longer begging, you're attracting, you're not seeking outside yourself. You've remembered your source is within. So Scorpio, before we close this portal, I want to ask you, what are you finally ready to leave behind? Whose voice are you ready to silence inside your mind? What version of you are you done negotiating with? Because what's coming, it demands the full version of you, not the half-hidden, half-doubting, half-settling you. The full you, the Scorpio you, the the sacred storm that clears the path, the phoenix that doesn't just rise, it blinds the sky when it does. So here's the invitation, not just from me, but from the universe itself. Share it. Out loud. Whisper it. Shout it. Write it down. Let your soul hear you. I, Scorpio, release what no longer honors me. I choose my evolution. I protect my peace. I welcome my abundance. And I trust that what is for me will find me because I am no longer hiding. Now take another breath, because the next chapter has already begun. And this time, you're not repeating, you're rising. Life lesson, evolution isn't about becoming someone else. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you to dim. Scorpio, the most powerful transformation isn't in what you gain, it's in what you're no longer willing to carry. Let go. Rise fully. The universe is already rearranging itself to meet you. Scorpio, if this message stirred something ancient in your soul, if a part of you feels like this wasn't just a video, but a divine confirmation, then this moment, right now, is your sacred cue. Don't leave in silence. Don't disappear back into the shadows you've outgrown. Because if there's one thing you've learned, it's this. Your evolution requires a tribe that speaks your language. This is not just a channel. This is a spiritual sanctuary, a place for Scorpios who are done shrinking, done waiting, and done being misunderstood. Subscribe now to the Path to Buddha Wisdom and walk beside those who see what others overlook, feel what others fear, and rise from what would destroy anyone else. Every video here is designed to awaken what's already inside you: the truth, the fire, the knowing. And if you're ready to step fully into that power, if you're done repeating and finally ready to recode your destiny, then make your declaration in the comments below. I, Scorpio, walk with fire and light. I release what dims me. I protect what grows in me, and I do not look back. The universe is listening, and your next chapter is already unfolding. We're not just surviving anymore, Scorpio. We're rising together here on the path to Buddha wisdom.